In Hollywood, the Big Six studios feel invincible. They own our childhoods, our superheroes, and our streaming queues. But the history of cinema is littered with the corpses of studios that thought they were too big to fail. Sometimes, all it takes is one movie, one massive, bloated, ego-driven disaster to bring a multi-million-dollar empire to its knees. Today, we're looking at the 10 movies that didn't just flop, they killed the studio. We'll look at what went wrong, why some people actually liked them, and the brutal reality of what the critics had to say. Number 10. Titan AE.
Wait, this isn't a joyride, kid. When the dredge destroyed Earth, they figured life adrift in space would break us down, wipe us out.
In the late 90s, Fox wanted to challenge Disney's throne. They built a state-of-the-art animation studio in Phoenix, led by legendary director Don Bluth. After the success of Anastasia, they decided to go hard sci-fi. Today, Titan AE is a cult classic. Fans love its unique blend of 2D traditional animation and 3D backgrounds. It had a cool factor that Disney lacked, featuring a soundtrack with Creed and Lit and a script co-written by Joss Whedon. It felt like an adult adventure in a sea of singing animals. Critics were mixed. While they praised the visuals, they found the story derivative. The Washington Post called it Star Wars for beginners. The film lost $100 million. 10 days after its release, Fox Animation Studios was shut down permanently. Number 9. The Golden Compass.
There is a world we cannot see, in a universe parallel to our own, where witches rule the northern skies.
New Line was the house that Freddy built thanks to Nightmare on Elm Street, and the house that Jackson saved thanks to Lord of the Rings. To keep the momentum, they bet the farm on Philip Pullman's His Dark Materials. Visually, the movie was a masterpiece. It won the Oscar for Best Visual Effects. Fans of the book were initially excited by the casting of Nicole Kidman and Daniel Craig. The armored bears remain some of the best CGI of that era. The studio made a fatal mistake. They sold the international rights to fund the budget. So, even though the movie made $372 million worldwide, New Line didn't see most of it. Critics felt the soul of the book, its critique of organized religion, had been gutted to appease censors. Rolling Stone called it lifeless. Because of this win-loss, New Line lost its independence and was absorbed into Warner Brothers. Number 8. Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within.
The dream is always the same. I'm standing, waiting for something.
Square, the kings of Japanese RPGs, decided to bypass live action entirely. They created a studio in Hawaii to produce the first photorealistic CGI film. They thought they were the future of cinema. At the time, it was a technical marvel. People were stunned by the digital actors. It felt like a glimpse into a world where actors were no longer needed. The sci-fi atmosphere was thick, moody, and deeply philosophical. Critics found it cold and soulless. Roger Ebert famously noted that the eyes of the characters lacked the spark of life. It was a massive box office bomb, losing $94 million. Square Pictures closed its doors shortly after, and the parent company, Square, had to merge with its rival, Enix, just to survive. Number 7. One from the Heart. After The Godfather and Apocalypse Now, Francis Ford Coppola was Coppola. He wanted to own his own studio, Zoetrope, where artists could play. He bet everything on a small romantic musical. It was a visual feast. Coppola used electronic cinema techniques that were decades ahead of their time. The Tom Waits soundtrack is legendary. It's a movie for people who love the art of filmmaking, the lighting, the transitions, the artifice. Critics felt Coppola had lost his mind. They called it eye candy without a brain. The budget ballooned from $15 million to $26 million because Coppola insisted on building massive sets of Las Vegas instead of just shooting there. The movie made less than $1 million. Zoetrope went into massive debt, and Coppola spent the next decade taking director-for-hire jobs just to pay off the banks. Number 6. Battlefield Earth.
Tomorrow morning, we must warn the planet ship of the mutiny.
What mutiny?
The one that you're going to pretend is in the works. like your life depended on it. Because it does.
Franchise Pictures was a star-driven studio. They told John Travolta they'd make his dream project, an adaptation of the L. Ron Hubbard novel. People like it today for the ironic fun. It is the king of so bad it's good movies. From the tilted camera angles, Dutch angles, in every single shot to the absurd dialogue, it's a masterclass in unintentional comedy. It is often cited as one of the worst films ever made. The New York Times said it was like taking a bus trip with someone who hasn't showered in a long time. The real killer, though, was legal. It was revealed the studio had fraudulently overstated the budget to scam investors. The scandal, combined with the film's failure, bankrupted Franchise Pictures in 2004. Number 5. Mars Needs Moms.
Let her go! Wait! Let me go! I'm in a spaceship! This is so cool!
Robert Zemeckis convinced Disney to back a studio dedicated entirely to motion capture animation, like the Polar Express. Mars Needs Moms was their big-budget test. Some viewers appreciated the emotional core of the story, a boy learning to value his mother. The Martian landscapes were imaginative, and for very young children, the uncanny valley look didn't seem to bother them as much as it did adults. But it was a historic disaster. Critics called the animation creepy and disturbing. It cost $150 million and made back almost nothing. Disney shut down Image Movers Digital before the movie even left theaters. It remains the biggest box office bomb in Disney's history relative to its budget. Number 4. Raise the Titanic. Lord Grade, a legendary TV mogul, wanted to conquer the movies. He spent a fortune building a massive tank and a scale model of the Titanic to film the ultimate adventure epic. The actual raising scene is still impressive. In a pre-CGI world, seeing that massive ship emerge from the water was a technical achievement. The John Barry score is also widely considered one of the greatest ever written. It would have been cheaper to lower the Atlantic. That was Lord Grade's own quote after seeing the bills. Critics found the movie boring and the plot thin. The film's failure destroyed ITC's film division and forced the company to sell off its assets. Number 3. Cleopatra. This is the only movie on the list where the studio survived, but only by the skin of its teeth. It was the most expensive movie ever made at the time, fueled by the scandalous off-screen romance of Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton. It is the definition of old Hollywood glamour. The sets, the thousands of extras, and Taylor's 65 costume changes are breathtaking. It's an epic in the truest sense of the word. Critics felt it was bloated and stately but dull. The production was a disaster. They started filming in England. The sets rotted in the rain. Taylor got sick, and they moved to Italy to start over. Fox had to sell off 300 acres of its backlit, which became Century City, just to stay afloat. They were only saved by the success of The Sound of Music 2 years later. Number 2. Cutthroat Island.
We set sail for Cutthroat Island!
More gold, jewels, and plunder than you've ever dreamed of.
I'm gonna split you open.
Carolco was the bad boy of the 90s, producing Terminator 2 and Total Recall. They decided to revive the pirate genre long before Jack Sparrow was a thing. It's an old-school, swashbuckling adventure with real ships and real explosions. Geena Davis is a fun lead, and the action sequences are genuinely well shot. If you like guilty pleasure action movies, this is a top-tier choice. The critics smelled blood. They focused on the bloated $100 million budget and the chaotic production. The movie made only $10 million. Carolco, which was already struggling with debt, declared bankruptcy 6 weeks before the movie was even released. It was the gold standard for box office bombs for a generation. Number 1. Heaven's Gate.
How can people declare war in a whole county?
Everything can be done.
Prince?
United Artists was founded by Charlie Chaplin and Mary Pickford. It was the director's studio. They gave Michael Cimino a blank check to make a Western. He used it to buy the studio's coffin. Modern critics have actually reevaluated this film. In its director's cut form, it is a haunting, beautiful masterpiece of cinematography. It's a gritty, realistic look at the American dream that is incredibly ambitious. In 1980, it was a scandal. Cimino was obsessed with detail. He reportedly waited for days just for a specific cloud to move into the shot. The budget tripled. The original cut was 5 hours long. Critics called it a calculated insult and a disaster. It lost so much money and prestige that Transamerica, the owner, sold United Artists to MGM, ending the studio's run as a powerhouse for independent directors. These 10 films are a reminder that in Hollywood, the line between visionary genius and studio killer is razor thin. All it takes is one director with too much power and one executive with too much faith. These studios are gone, but the movies, for better or worse, remain as monuments to their ambition. Which of these studio killers do you think is actually a good movie? Is Titan A.E. a masterpiece? Is Heaven's Gate misunderstood? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the history of Hollywood. I'll see you next time.